Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to kick off today's presentation with a powerful idea. If one ember is left alight, a fire will eventually break out. Today, we'll explore how this concept relates to crushing your enemy totally, which is the core of Law 15. Over the next few slides, we'll dive into strategies for ensuring that no small threat is left unchecked, because even a tiny spark can ignite a big problem later on. Let's get started and see how this principle can be applied effectively. All great leaders, dating back to Moses, have understood a fundamental principle. When facing a formidable enemy, complete destruction is often necessary. They knew that stopping halfway, leaving some part of the enemy intact, can be more damaging in the long run. Because if you don't eliminate the threat entirely, it will recover and come back stronger, seeking revenge. So the key is to crush the enemy not just physically, but in spirit as well. This approach ensures they cannot regroup or retaliate. It's a tough but vital lesson in leadership. Sometimes, total victory is the only way to truly secure peace and stability. This idea ties into the overall theme that decisive action, even if harsh, can be necessary for long-term success. Why total destruction? Well, it's because there can be no lasting peace with an enemy who truly wants your destruction. While you might feel confident and believe the war is over, the reality is quite different. They are out there, quietly plotting their revenge, waiting for that one moment of vulnerability when they can strike back. And it's important to remember, they do not forget, and they do not forgive. An enemy who is left alive, even after a conflict, is like a viper nursing its wounds. That viper remains dangerous, ready to strike again when the opportunity arises. This is why, in the context of our overall theme, we must understand that anything less than total destruction leaves a threat lurking in the shadows, a threat that can strike back when least expected. So, here's an interesting paradox about Napoleon. He allowed treacherous ministers like Talleyrand and Fouché to survive and even hold power under him. He genuinely believed that he could control them, that his leadership and influence would keep them in check. But unfortunately, that was a mistake. In the end, these very ministers conspired against him, plotting behind his back to orchestrate his downfall. And ultimately, they succeeded in delivering him into British hands. It's important to remember that Napoleon was a genius on the battlefield. There's no denying his military prowess. But when it came to his political enemies, he often failed to crush them effectively. That's a critical point because it shows a recurring theme in his rule. His mercy, or perhaps his trust, sometimes blinded him to the true threat those around him posed. This all ties into the larger theme of the presentation, how Napoleon's strategies and sometimes his overconfidence contributed to his rise and, ultimately, his downfall. His decision to show mercy or trust the wrong people was a transgression that had serious consequences. It's a reminder that even a genius leader must be cautious about who he trusts and how he manages his political relationships. When looking at the strategies of powerful leaders, it's clear that eliminating threats is often a key to maintaining control. She executed anyone from rival clans who could challenge her legitimacy, often wiping out entire families. This wasn't just about defeating rivals in battle. It was about making sure that no one could rise up and claim the throne later on. By doing this, she ensured that there was no opposition left, no one to challenge her authority. As a result, she ruled unopposed for over 40 years, which is an incredible testament to her grip on power. Now, China's Empress Wu Zetian, who lived from 625 to 705 AD, understood this law very well. When she seized power, she didn't just settle for defeating her rivals. She took it a step further and annihilated them completely. This ruthless approach kept her at the top, free from threats or rebellions. What we can learn from Empress Wu's example is that sometimes maintaining power requires decisive, and yes, ruthless action. It's a stark reminder that, in the pursuit of stability and control, eliminating potential challengers can be a crucial move. This principle is a recurring theme in the ways leaders maintain their dominance throughout history. The smoldering ember is a powerful metaphor for what happens when we leave our enemies time to recover. You see, if we give them that space, they'll use it to rebuild their strength. And when they do come back, It's with a vengeance fueled by a hatred that only total defeat could have extinguished. Negotiation, in this context, can be a trap. If we stop halfway out of mercy or because we hope for reconciliation, we're actually just delaying the inevitable. It might seem like a pause, but in reality, it gives them a chance to come back stronger and more determined. This brings us to the cost of half measures. Sometimes, in trying to be merciful or strategic, we think we're gaining time or saving resources. But in doing so, we might be setting ourselves up for a much bigger cost down the line. The key takeaway here is that when facing a serious threat, decisive action is often necessary. Half measures might seem safer in the moment, but they can lead to greater challenges later. This idea ties back to our overall theme. Strength and resolve are vital in overcoming adversity. We need to recognize when to act boldly and when hesitation could be our biggest mistake. When we talk about keys to power, it's crucial to understand that only total victory truly guarantees total security. As long as a rival exists, your position remains fragile and vulnerable. You can't afford to have any loose ends. Security isn't just about avoiding physical defeat, it's about going further. You need to crush their spirit and extinguish their hope so they can never even consider fighting you again. If they believe there's a way to come back or to challenge you, your security remains compromised. This leads us to the concept of spiritual death. You have to banish any feelings of pity or mercy. Remember, your enemy wouldn't show you mercy in return. In the game of power, showing mercy can be a fatal weakness. It's not a virtue here, it's a risk that can cost you everything. So, no mercy. Always keep that in mind. To hold power, you must be decisive, relentless, and unwavering. That's how you ensure your dominance and maintain control over your position. Reversal. However, be warned, this is dangerous. If they ever regain their strength, they will turn on you. Even a tamed enemy is a risk. The key point here is that sometimes, what seems like a victory can backfire if you're not careful. The only time to spare an enemy is when you can enslave them. If allowing them to live serves your purpose better than destroying them, you may stay your hand. This is about strategic decision-making, knowing when mercy is actually a calculated move rather than a weakness. When to negotiate? Well, that depends on the situation. Often, negotiation is the best option when it can lead to an advantage, either gaining information, buying time, or even turning an enemy into an ally. Remember, understanding the context and the potential risks is crucial. This all ties back to the overall theme. Mastering strategy isn't just about brute force, but about making smart choices at the right moments. Now, let's take a moment to acknowledge the sources behind these images. You'll notice the first one is from LCNME.com, showcasing a historic photograph that connects us to the past. The second source, PNGtree.com, provides a striking background image with a hazy smoke effect, adding a sense of atmosphere. Moving on, Sachert.com offers us an artwork that represents creativity and expression, while Etsy.com contributes a vibrant, detailed image that highlights craftsmanship. Next is Freepik.com, which supplies a compelling photo of a blue viper snake, symbolizing danger and precision. Lastly, iStockPhoto.com gives us an image of debris, reminding us of the chaos and aftermath that can follow disruptive events. All these sources collectively remind us that visuals are powerful tools to support storytelling, and it's important to give credit where it's due. These images help deepen our understanding of the themes we've discussed today, connecting history, emotion, danger, and aftermath into a cohesive visual narrative. And finally, I want to acknowledge the sources of the images we've used throughout this presentation. This particular image comes from www.freepik.com, which offers a wide range of high-quality visuals. You can see the URL here, and the specific photo depicts a spooky, ancient ruin with a dark tombstone set against a misty landscape. It's a perfect example of how visuals can really enhance our understanding and engagement with the topic. Remember, giving proper credit to image sources is important, not just ethically, but also to respect the creators behind these visuals. Thank you for your attention, and I hope you've enjoyed this journey through our presentation.